So now move to second deputation to welcome Gregor Ross for your deputation regarding about smartphone for children. You are invited to speak 5 minutes. Gregor Ross.
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you for giving me your time this afternoon. I would like to ask for your help in protecting young children from the risks associated with smartphones. My name is Gregor. I live in West Dean with my wife and 2 young children who are 5 and 8. And it's these and all the children of Brighton and Hove I'd like you to think about for the next few minutes. Smartphones are devices designed for adults. They have access to all the wonders and the horrors of the internet. They are addictive by design and aim to keep you on the phone as long as possible. Here is just some of the evidence supporting my concerns. 51% of 11 to 13-year-olds have seen hardcore pornography. 90% of girls report being sent unwanted explicit content. 75% of 15-year-olds have seen beheading videos. More than 7,000 cases of sexual communication with a child were recorded last year, which is the highest level since records began. And we know the true figure is much higher due to underreporting. A typical child will use their phone for 3 to 4 hours a day, and this is time not being spent on physical activities, sport, clubs, and real-world socialising. This opportunity cost is harming our children's development. Professor Jonathan Haidt, a social psychologist, has published much research into this topic, which shows since 2010 there's been a steady, continuous rise in children's mental health problems, which correlates strongly with increasing ownership of smartphones amongst children. Some organisations, such as Five Rights and NSPCC, argue children have a right to access the internet, and I don't disagree. But this should be supervised by a responsible adult at school or at home. And it's crucial that we don't conflate this action to delay smartphones to young children with banning children from the internet. Some people will tell you there's not enough evidence linking smartphones and social media to harming children, but I strongly disagree and support the view of the US Surgeon General, Dr. Earthey, who says, and I quote, "We don't have enough evidence to say it's safe, and in fact, there is growing evidence that social media use is associated with harm to young people's mental health. Council, I urge you all to visit the Smartphone Free Childhood website, to read the research that we do have. However, even if you think the evidence is lacking, I put it to you that this logic is the wrong way round. It should not be incumbent on parents to prove that smartphones are harmful. It should be the responsibility of the billion-dollar tech industry to prove they are safe. And until that has been proven, they should not be in the hands of young children." You may be thinking, well, this is simple, just don't give your child a smartphone. This reductionist thinking is very limited. 89% of children starting secondary school own a smartphone. So at one of the most critical times of a young child's development, parents are being presented with this terrible dilemma. Give your child a smartphone that you know to have all these risks, or choose not to and alienate them from their peers. Policy across our city varies enormously, and sadly, some schools and teachers are unintentionally adding to the problem by using smartphones in lessons. Despite these problems, I believe there is a potential solution. In February this year, a group of inspirational parents in the UK started a movement called the Smartphone Free Childhood. Their method is simple. It's a parent pact, a voluntary pledge to delay giving your child a smartphone until at least 14 years old. This pact can help parents develop that much-needed peer support, and to date, over 83,000 parents across the UK have signed this pact. The cultural change required to protect children needs to come from all parts of society. Parents, teachers, government, healthcare workers, police and regulators all need to work together. No one can do this alone. We cannot be reassured by tech firms who claim to be working on unrealistic and untested solutions, such as age verification and parental controls. They are in denial of the problem and use these arguments as a smokescreen. It is not just parents that want change. Children want change. 67% of children believe smartphones are harmful. 50% of teens feel addicted. And 20% have felt life is not worth living due to social media. This change will be hard, but we owe it to our children to make this happen. And that is why we have organised our event on Thursday, 23rd of January next year. We already have head teachers and school leaders signed up. Peter Kyle has it in his diary, and we are hoping some of you will be there too. You will all be receiving invites in your pigeonhole. I personally have raised this issue with my primary school head teacher, my MP Sian Berry, local councillors, who have all so far declined to publicly support delaying children's access to smartphones. Parents are doing their bit, but council, please, we need your help. Please will you consider publicly supporting and promoting a smartphone-free childhood across our city? Please will you send resources to all schools, just like you do for other public health matters, such as healthy eating and active travel, encouraging them to implement strict no smartphones in school policy. Lastly, council, if you decide you cannot support this now, then please consider 2 further questions. If not you, who? And if not now, when?
Thank you. Thank you, Gregor, for your deputation. I will now move to petition for debate relating to a smartphone-free school for Brighton and Hove. So item number 55, a smartphone-free school for Brighton and Hove. Each group have got 1 speaker. I now call for Natalie present in the chamber to present your petition for debate, and would like to remind you, you got 3 minutes to speak. Natalie, go ahead, please. Thank you.
In 2015, Brighton and Hove led the nation as the first UK city to tackle sugar addiction with the Sugar Smart City initiative. You took a bold stand against an industry profiting from children's health and raised awareness of the devastating harm caused by the overconsumption of sugar. Today, we face a new challenge, one just as pervasive, just as harmful, and equally in need of leadership. Smartphones and their impact on the new sugar. They're designed to hook children early, and the consequences, depression, anxiety, exposure to harmful content, are already wreaking havoc on our kids. According to the Children's Commissioner, children as young as 8 regularly stumble across explicit content. This includes videos depicting serious sexual violence, rape, and extreme pornography. They also found that children with free school meal status were more likely to see every type of harmful content online. We created this petition not just to shield our own kids. I work with some of the city's most vulnerable children, and I see firsthand the impact that early, unmonitored screen use has and continues to have on them. It's not as simple as saying it's up to parents to police. The reality is far more nuanced. Many parents, regardless of their situation, struggle to regulate their child's smartphone use. Those of you that have children in your lives will know what an impossible task it is getting young people off their devices. We know ourselves how addictive they are and how hard it is to put our phones down. Depression, anxiety, bullying, grooming, violent and misogynistic content, they are all shaping our children's minds and views on intimacy, relationships, and themselves. The tech industry holds power comparable to that once held by the tobacco industry and has little incentive to address these issues swiftly. Social media platforms driven by addictive algorithms exploit our children by hijacking their attention and flooding their brains with dopamine hits that reshape neural pathways. This constant cycle of distraction erodes focus, steals childhood, and contributes to rising rates of anxiety, depression, and declining mental health. Just as smoking harms millions, prioritising profits over people, the delay in action means our children remain guinea pigs. This is why we need the whole community to take a stand. We can't protect just some children, we have to protect all children. The council has shown a commitment to young people's mental health by investing $200,000 in support, a step in the right direction, but one that fails to address the root of the crisis. The reality is that many of these mental health issues are being fueled by the very devices we allow children to carry around in their pockets. Smartphones steal their attention, hijack their dopamine systems, and foster addictive behaviours that leave children overstimulated yet emotionally drained. We need to be bold enough to intervene before the damage is done by supporting families to delay smartphone use and protecting childhood from the relentless pressures of the digital world. Councillors, I moved to Brighton because it is a progressive city, one that embodies everything I believe in. Its commitment to inclusivity, compassion, and standing up for what's right. You stepped up before when our children's well-being was at stake. We now need the council to raise awareness about the dangers of smartphones and lead a campaign to delay their use until children are older. If Brighton could be the first city in the country to lead the charge against sugar, then please be the first city to take the same courageous step to address this growing crisis and safeguard our children. Thank you.
I would like to thank you, Natalie, for presenting the petition and for joining the council meeting today. I will now call Councillor Daniel to respond to the deputation and petition. Councillor Daniel, you got 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will just sit due to health reasons. Thank you for both the petition and the deputation today. I think your campaign has been really timely and inspiring as the wider media and public start to consider the questions of what our boundaries should be around teens and digital tools. I was keen that you came to full council so that all our parties could have their say and engage with this campaign. I agree with Peter Kyle that the really critical issue is that technology companies take responsibility for, as well as profit from, the tools they make available. Research with young people highlights that there is positive sides to mobile phones and social media in terms of friendship, connection, ways to cope and manage moods, and along with the negatives that you have outlined. We already work with schools on lessons to support better education around both social media and mobile phones. And I will organise a roundtable with school leaders and SENCOs, parents and young people in 2025. And Peter Cole will join that if he's available. I am conscious that whatever position we land on, we have to bear in mind more disadvantaged families and the fact that too many pupils only can do access on their mobile phone. So we can't move forward in a way that compounds disadvantage. Additionally, I'd want to know that there would be exemptions for carers and disabled children. And I want to support school leaders who currently do enable those children access to their phones, whilst by and large banning phones from the school day. I will also be attending your event on the 23rd of January, and I'm really looking forward to learning more. Thanks so much for this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor Daniel. Now move to general debate. Every speaker, you have 3 minutes from each group. I would like to welcome now Green Group, who want to speak first. Please go ahead.
Chair. It's clear that we are only just beginning to understand the implications that smartphone technology has on people, and in particular on children as they develop. We perhaps need to challenge ours and their relationship with this technology and address how we might negotiate and improve all lives to use it in a more beneficial and healthier way. Originally thought of as a levelling up tool that could enable all kids, if their parents could afford it, access to information, it would now seem that it might also be a threat to what it might mean to be a child in our time. Research suggests that 1 in 4 kids are using smartphones in an addictive manner, with a possible link to gambling addictions later in life. There are further claims that 38% are spending more than 4 hours per day on their phones, while 17% spend 6 hours or more, 30% are viewing after 10 p.m, and 1/5 of 3 to 4-year-olds have their own smartphone. While smartphones enable kids to access a wealth of useful and exciting information, it also enables them to access age-inappropriate platforms. 1 in 10 9-year-olds and 1 in 4 11-year-olds have viewed pornography, and yet their first view was not searched for but was initiated by an algorithm. Children are able to view non-consensual sex and violence, acts of suicide, cyberbullying, sexism, misogyny, racism, and sites that encourage terrorism. They only have to press a button that says, "I am 18. Why aren't tech companies doing more to prevent this?" We need decisive action to make smartphone use a safer, more secure place for children, but to put that responsibility on local councils takes away from those who should bear the real responsibility, the tech companies. Currently, it is a UK government recommendation that smartphones are banned in schools. A number of schools in the city are conforming to this recommendation, but without resources, some feel unable to do so. It seems that a partial ban, depending on what school you go to, is unfair and discriminatory. Technology Secretary Peter Carl has commissioned a 6-month study that will explore the effects of smartphone and social media use on children. It will take into account the plan by the Australian government for an outright ban for all under 16s regardless of parental consent. and Carl is open-minded about a similar proposal for the UK. Ofcom is also due to report back shortly on its Online Safety Act, whereby it will finalise new laws that will come into force in spring that will force tech companies to protect children online and remove illegal content. Together then, governments need to work with parents and most importantly with tech companies for the best outcomes for kids. We understand the frustration of parents but feel that this issue needs central government intervention to enforce action from tech companies. Local council intervention alone will not provide the security that children need. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pickett. Now I would like to call Conservative Group, Councillor Hogan.
Thank you. We in the Conservative Group welcome the discussion around smartphone use in schools today. We're very aware that the research clearly shows that early usage can negatively impact children's mental health, academic performance and social interactions. And as both a psychiatrist and parent myself, I'm fully aware that excessive screen time is linked to an increase in mental health issues. We're also aware that 3/4 of teenagers between the ages of 13 and 17 have encountered one or more potential harms online, and that 3 in 5 secondary school-aged children have been contacted in a way that potentially makes them feel uncomfortable. We're aware that staff at Varn Dean and Cardinal Newman have successfully put in place strict policies that effectively stop children using their smartphones whilst at school so they can focus on learning and developing social skills. With this in mind, we in the Conservative Group take the view that rather than the council dictate to teachers and schools how to manage the situation, that the individual teachers and schools introduce policies to their own schools which they can manage themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I would like to welcome Brighton and Hove Independent Group. Councillor Earthey.
No, we'll only just say we fully support this proposal, do anything to hold the tech companies to account. I think there needs to be much more local and government intervention. So support it. So basically we just echo what we've already heard. So thank you for bringing it to us.
Thank you. Independent Councillor, would you like to respond? No. Thank you. Councillor Daniel, do you wish to respond to the debate?
I hope that you found it useful to bring this today. I hope that you found the response at least somewhat heartwarming that we are engaging with you on this issue. I hope that you took from my willingness to come to the event that Smartphone Free Childhood is running as a genuine move to really understand the evidence and understand what's going on. As I say, the only things that hold me back from just being full hot throttle for you is those things that I mentioned, really disadvantaged children and their access to homework, and children with other disadvantages that may need some sort of support. So I'd want a careful approach to making sure that we implement such a policy in a fair way. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Councillor Daniel. We'll vote on both noting the deputation and then the petition for debate. Firstly, does the council agree to note the deputation? Secondly, does the council agree to note the petition? I can confirm that the petition for debate has been noted.